The press and the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of the same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Will you take a second, turn off all electronic equipment? We're going to stand for the flag salute. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tom, would you call the roll, please? Mr. Becker. Here. Mr. Blumberg.
Here.
Ms. Talby.
Here.
Our item for discussion list is, do you all have copies of that, by the way? First item is Mr. Abbott. Scott, you want to talk about the governor's executive order, please?
Certainly. As I'm sure most people understand, the governor has recently, as of last Wednesday, issued an executive order number 140, and the governor is going to now move forward on the issue of acquisition of easements, as they're called, which would allow the placement of sand dunes or sand berm along the various ocean fronts in New Jersey. As we understand it here in Margate, there's about at least 10 properties that is applicable to, if possibly not more.
Hey, Scott, if I can interrupt, I asked for a copy of the last page, and I think it's 9 total, unless it's been changed. It's 8 plus the fishing pier.
Oh, that I don't know. I always thought it was 10, but my feeling has always been that you need a comprehensive title report to be dead 100% certain, because my experience has been that many times there are errors on tax records, tax maps, or there were invalid conveyances. There's case law that says that riparian ownership of land doesn't automatically flow with the upland transfer of a lot. So I can't give a precise number, and I had gotten an estimate of a title search from an abstractor to do the entire beach to be 100% certain. It'd be between 5,000 and 10,000 was one rough estimate that I had for that. So I can't say it's 8. I can't say for sure it's 10, and I'm not quite sure how we count the pier in that mix. So, but moving forward, so the governor's office, or the governor himself, has issued this particular executive order, and the mayor and I were together last Wednesday when this order first became known, and we called our liaison officer, Cindy Rendazzo, who works in the governor's office, and I've asked and repeated it in writing, give us whoever the legal counsel is, so if there's any issues on how you construe this executive order. And in particular, the first question was, what about this referendum question coming up in November? And I don't have a contact person yet. There have been a number of calls from the state to the city, but none of them had to do with the executive order. Well, I take that back. One did as of 2:30 today, where the Attorney General's office wants to schedule a meeting with Margate sometime next week in Trenton to sit down and explain what they can do or how they want to assist the city or how they will go forward with obtaining easements. Now, I just got that phone call roughly 2:30, 2:45. So I'm letting you know this now. That's how rapidly this is developing. That was Lisa Douglas, who I've dealt with on other matters, and they would like to schedule some kind of meeting next week in Trenton, which whoever would want to go, of course, if one of the 3 commissioners wants to go, that's fine. It's city administrator, city engineer. Wouldn't have to be next week, but she gave me 3 dates and times, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Now,
Scott, before you go on, did they mention anything about the ballot?
they did not. In fact, as I asked Ms. Douglas about that, I said, does this have any relevance to the ballot? She said, oh, no, I'm not calling about that. I'm calling you about what the state wants to do, sit down with the city of Margate, as they are doing with other cities. By the way, there's about 1,000 of these properties up and down the Jersey coast, so I'm led to understand. So it is not just Margate. We're 10, maybe, but there's about 1,000 of them.
The reason I mention that, Scott, because I have been asked by people, does that mean now that it won't be on the ballot? And no, that's not the case, because the ballots are printed, and as you know, that stays on the ballot, whether it's ruled afterwards to be null and void by the attorney, that's different, but it doesn't get removed from the ballot. The ballots are done and printed statutorily.
Well, Tom, I don't think the order means that it's off the ballot, and number one, we don't have to take any further action. That action was already taken in the past. The resolution was passed pursuant to the ordinance. The county clerk's office has printed the ballot. It's on for November. Now, where the confusion might be is in the governor's order. It does say no municipality, and I think I gave everybody a copy of this order, but let's just go over it, because I know there's a lot of questions, and yes, I've been questioned every day. I get a bunch of these questions. No municipality, county, or any other agency or political subdivision of this state shall enact or enforce any order, rule, regulation, ordinance, or resolution, and this is the key wording, which will or might in any way conflict with any of the provisions of this order, or which will in any way interfere with or impede its achievement. It's very unique wording. I don't believe it rises to us having to take an action to rescind previous actions taken, because we've already passed it. It's already on the ballot. It's already printed. And nobody from the governor's office has said otherwise. So,
Scott, rather than waiting for them to call us, you said the Attorney General called you about 2:30 this afternoon.
that was for the easements.
I was thinking that it would be nice for the city to reach out to the governor's office and the Attorney General's office to find out for sure, because I too, like Tom and yourself, and I'm sure Commissioner Blumberg and Mayor Becker, have been asked, well, what does this referendum mean then? Do we need to have it? And rather than, I think,
Well, I agree
direction
with you.
should come from the state or in the Attorney General's office.
Oh, I agree with you. That's why the mayor and I called up our designated governor's office liaison, Randazzo, and that's why I followed up with an email letter to her saying specifically, what relevance does this have to do with our ballot question in the upcoming referendum? And I did talk to Douglas about this. I've also called Cindy Randazzo again, and she said she doesn't have an answer yet on that. So we're not ignoring that issue. So, but it would indeed be very unique for a governor's executive order, not a legislative action, but a governor's order to nullify a resolution putting forth a question that's non-binding on the ballot. So we still have a lot of time.
And what's the downside in allowing the people to vote on the question, I mean, that is in fact on the ballot? Well, why is there a downside there? Why would we be...
Well, nobody's saying there's a downside.
Okay, so
We're
why
just
are
saying
we
there's an
pressing, well, it sounds like we're pressing to get a definition that the question is invalid because
Not
of
at
the
all.
governor's
We're just-
executive order?
We're just
Which is
asking for-
questionable, according to legal people that I speak with, is questionable as it stands anyway.
And that could be, and that's what we're trying to find
Okay.
out. Okay? I spoke to Cindy Randazzo at 1:30 this afternoon, asking her questions about the referendum and what happens on it. They have no idea. And this is a woman who is director of the Office of Local Government Assistance. She's the director. She has no idea. She's saying she will try as best she can to get us the information. Now, we're a week into this. Scott and I sat in his office last Thursday and spoke to her, and we also sent her an email. I don't have answers. We need answers for our people. Sorry, Scott.
That's basically it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, until we hear otherwise from the governor's office, we don't stop the referendum. I don't even know that we can, being as it's already on the printed ballot.
Well, do you want Tommy?
Well, Tom's been in contact with the clerk's office, too, to make sure the wording was on correctly and whatnot. But certainly any input from anybody's welcome. But I think we're okay. I don't think we're violating an executive order, if that's the question.
We're in good shape. I think the only thing here is the unknown. You know, does the governor have the authority, number one? Does the governor have authority to sometime in the future force the people of Margate to appropriate money? That's another interesting question. I would like all those questions answered for our people before the election.
Scott, do you think the governor is wrong?
Well, see, I'm an historian, Commissioner. In my view, the right of the people to vote is paramount. And so if this is to be construed that the people can't vote, then I do think he's wrong. I don't think that's what is intended by this executive order. I don't think the governor is coming out to say the people of Margate cannot vote on this question. I could be wrong. Maybe he does mean that. That's not how I read this executive order. I read it as not meaning to stop the referendum. But again, his office may try to correct that. But all of our court cases on referendums always say you must have liberal construction of the laws, liberal construction, to encourage the right of the people to vote. And that's good enough for me. I mean, a lot of people died for that right to vote. So as far as I'm concerned, City of Margate residents have a right to vote on this referendum unless the governor's order takes further steps. And then we'll have to come up with what response. But he hasn't said that yet.
And Scott, I'm not that knowledgeable on the governor's office versus the attorney general's office, but I think they're separate departments for propriety reasons. So it seems like we could get direction legally from the attorney general's office more than we could from the governor's office on this. Has he given you any indication whether, have you talked to him about the referendum?
Well, I am talking to the Deputy Attorney General assigned to us, that's Lisa Douglas, but she knew nothing of the issue. She instead wanted to schedule a meeting for next week for us, somebody from Margate, presumably me and whoever, to go up and sit down and explain how the city would interact or how the state would get involved with obtaining these easements. And I was given Thursday, 1 o'clock, Friday, anytime, or Wednesday at 10:30. So that's one of the things you have to decide. Do we get involved with that meeting next week? Which they're asking, right now they want to give us information. So I think that would be good to do
Yeah, I think
that.
it would be good, too, and if Mayor Becker or Commissioner Blumberg don't wish to attend, I'd like to.
I'm fine. I think we should, that their requests go up there. I don't think we should shut any door. You okay
Well,
with that,
you-
Mike?
Yeah, but I, again, if Scott is looking for company, I'm willing to go, but I think we might be better served if Mr. Wahlberg could attend. I think he has a better idea of the properties. Certainly him or Rich would probably be better served than one of us.
I agree with Maury. I think Ed would be an excellent person to go, and I don't know the law regarding sunshine laws, but I don't think more than one of us can go, so I think Ed would be a good representative for the three of us.
Okay.
Well then, do I take it that Ed and I will work out the suitable time, and I'll get back to her tomorrow, and we'll go up and
I
meet?
would, if it's okay with everybody else, I would like to go to that meeting. Best day for me would be Thursday or Friday, Scott. No?
That's fine with me, of course, Mayor. Whatever you want to do, whatever the three of you want to do. You know, I'm amenable to any way you want to handle this. How do you want to do it? We'll do it.
Make the appointment.
What did you think I was going to say? No, Mayor, you can't come. No. However the three of you want to handle it. If you want all three come up and one at a time go into the meeting, so if we don't violate sunshine law, we could do it that way.
I think with Ed and Mike, we're very well represented.
I agree.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
You are welcome.
Brenda?
Oh.
Beach advertising?
Yeah, I have some copies, one for Tom, Scott, Lisa, and Commissioner Blumberg, and Mayor Becker.
One from Mr. Blumberg?
Yeah. Commissioner, I'm going to lead into it because it sort of has to do with the Adopt a Beach. Commissioner Blumberg questioned why the Adopt a Beach program was stopped by me, and again, at last meeting, I said for the record, it was not my exclusive decision. It was discussed at a recent Green Team meeting, Sustainable Margate, and those who attended the meeting felt the program had not evolved into what they'd hope, which was for the adoptees to take responsibilities for their beach and to help keep it clean. At a meeting held last summer for the adoptees to attend, not one showed up. And our committee also felt that the program became more of an advertising vehicle than anything else. So considering this, I sent an email to Tom, Fred, and Rich Dini requesting that we take the application off our website and put the program on hiatus. I further requested that we leave everyone's sign up for 5 years after the last one was purchased so that we could be fair to everyone who adopted a beach. The original signs were sold for $500 for 2 years, and then the price was lowered to $250. And the length of time changed from 5 years for the $500 plaques to $250 for the 2-year plaques. Total money collected was $25,000, and we currently have $6,528.54 in the account, not the $1,500 that was presumed at last meeting. Most of this money was spent on plaques and signs. This past Tuesday, our committee met once again, and I shared Commissioner Blumberg's sentiment, and I read an email received from 2 people regarding the program, one from Mr. Fred Weinstein and the other from Mrs. Rachel Bogatin. The Sustainable Margate Committee is waiting for a copy of the formal ordinance/resolution establishing the program and will review and make recommendations to the Commission. The county has a Clean Communities initiative which parallels the original intent of the Adopt a Beach program, and consideration will be given to amend the Adopt a Beach program guidelines if its intent is to continue it. While discussing the Adopt a Beach program at our last meeting, the subject of beach advertising came up, and so I was curious to see what we sold our umbrella, lifeguard boat, and lifeguard tent advertising for, and how long the agreements were for. I requested the information from Tom Hiltner in the clerk's office, and I was given a resolution number 44 of 2011 for the lifeguard tent advertising, outlining the length of term, which was 3 years. So that's 2011, 12, and 13. At a bid of $4,666.66 for each of our 4 lifeguard tents, totaling $14,000. The successful bidders were Marketplace, JEMM Hospitality, Dino's Sub Shop. Only 3 were named, so I'm assuming that 4 tents, there was 4 tents, so one bidder maybe bought 2 tents. I have to check. I've asked Lisa how much we've taken in beach advertising, and after looking into it, found that just $2,700 was in 2011 and $3,766 was posted in 2012. To me, it appears that the city is short $7,534. This is just the tent advertising, and I'm still waiting for something in writing about the umbrella advertising and the lifeguard boat advertising. Lisa shows no payment. Adding to my confusion, Tom informed me by voicemail that the umbrella advertising was set up between Commissioner Blumberg and Gigi on the side. Who is Gigi, by the way, you guys? Gigi?
Gigi is the owner of the Marketplace Authority.
Okay. What's her name?
Gigi Rosenberg.
Gallagher? Is T. Gallagher's sister?
No,
No? Okay.
no,
All right.
no relation.
Okay. All right, so I'm still waiting for information on the boat advertising, and nothing should be on the side. There should be something in writing about the umbrella advertising. This is 2013. We can't operate in such a loosey-goosey fashion. We need formal agreements, and if advertising is to be offered, it needs to be offered to everyone, not a deal done on the side, and with an agreement determining the amount and length of time for advertisement. I personally am against any beach advertising. Frankly, I feel if we're dependent on this money, then there is something wrong with our city fiscal management. It's not enough revenue to warrant the advertising on our beaches. What I just gave you is what you all have is the resolution for the beach tent advertising, and then the receipts that Lisa's taken in. So I ask Rich Dini to please, when he has a chance next week, to try to figure out where the missing money is and where the missing formal agreements are.
You have anything else, Brenda?
That's all.
Okay. Brenda, thank you.
I do want to make one comment regarding Commissioner Talby's prepared statement. I believe that everything that she's doing related to the Adopt a Beach program and the decisions that she's making are outside of her purview, and they should not be done by herself and only herself. Nobody at this table anointed her queen and/or king. And in that regard, I objected when I initially heard that we were canceling the Adopt a Beach program. I still object to the way this is being handled, and I once again offer to take over the program and run the Adopt a Beach program independent of any group that has been set up related to clean communities, which we don't have a whole lot of information on. I don't know who's on the committee. I don't know how that committee was appointed. I don't remember discussing that committee at an open workshop. And finally, if we are going to be business-friendly, and we say we're business-friendly, why then would we want to reject any money that the businesses want to give us, whether it's to adopt a beach and/or advertise on our lifeguard stands? We agreed, it seems like we're moving backwards. We agreed to this as a commission 6 years ago. Whether or not we're taking in all the revenue we're supposed to take in, I asked Lisa to look into that, and I'm sure that she can. But to say to these businesses, who are really all good businesses and do a ton to support Margate, that we don't want to give you this, number one, we don't want to take your money, and number two, we don't want to give you the opportunity to put your name on our lifeguard stands is, ludicrous to me. And certainly, in my opinion, not very business-friendly. And so why we want to open this up again after we approved it over 6 years ago, I think is nuts. I think it's wrong. And again, all outside of Commissioner Taube's independent purview.
My turn, guys. I'd like to talk about two issues here. Number one, Adopt a Beach. I'm not big in favor of stopping things. I have an understanding that, you're only as good as your weakest link, and I'm a big believer in trying to bring people up, bring groups up, bring committees up. I'd like to see us look at, maybe we can do some changes on the Adopt a Beach program before we throw the baby out with the bathwater. Number two, we have advertising on the beach. But first, I have to tell you that I was on the commission in 2008 and voted for it. I'm not sure I feel the same now. I got a lot of grief from people about advertising on the beach, and as I look at this, it's kind of shocking that, am I reading this right, Brenda, that well, there's some missing years here, but from what we have here, 2008, 11, and 12, we got 54, less than $20,000 for what some people would consider changing the feeling of the beach and the character of the beach. Okay, so anybody else have anything to say about these items?
About what, Mike? About what, Mayor?
The character of the beach.
I'm sorry, but the character what?
Of the beach.
Oh, no, I thought you were on the subject of the beach advertising.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay, all right. No, I just, I don't, either way, I don't have anything to offer specifically about whether it's right, wrong, whether it looks good, looks bad. I just, a little bit, I guess, confused or disappointed. Brenda wrote me an email, I replied back a little bit, then I left a message, and I think to say that, call it a side deal, kind of like takes it out of context what I said, but that's besides the point. More importantly, there was a comment about missing money, and that to me is even more whatever. So let's we can look at that, but just the way it was laid out there, it certainly was not
Yeah, and the
appropriate.
resolution says that we should have collected $14,000 for the 3 years, and my records and what Lisa has is only $6,400, so we're missing some...
The point is, Brenda, I understand what the records show, but to say publicly, use the term missing money without even talking about it before you go with a comment like that is kind of strong, that's all.
Well, and it's, it's not
But
missing money.
Is it correct or incorrect?
Well, and it's, I think it's incorrect, and again, Lisa can look at
Okay.
the
Well, why don't we give her that
ordinances
opportunity?
and give her that opportunity. Maybe we should have taken that opportunity before we decided to discuss it publicly.
Okay.
But, and again, just to put this final issue to bed, I do recall, again, it was 6 years ago, that the beach chief said, hey, we don't want to build contraptions like some other towns over our lifeguard stands, and Marketplace has agreed to donate umbrellas. And at the time, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I was the Commissioner of Public Safety. She wanted to donate the umbrellas. I believe that I can tell you that every single lifeguard in every single stand thanked me for being able to get them these umbrellas at no cost to the city. And nobody else offered to donate umbrellas. And at the time, it was the right thing to do. And I still think the right thing to do. I don't know if we still have the umbrellas, but when I was Commissioner of Public Safety, every Sunday, I walked to every beach, to every lifeguard stand. Every Sunday, I made it a point. And I remember specifically all the lifeguards thanking us for getting them those umbrellas.
Maureen, do you have anything in writing that says that she donated them, or any agreement that you have with GG at Marketplace Realty?
Maybe she dropped off $1,000 bills at my house, Brenda. Is that what you're inferring?
Oh, come on. It's a legitimate question.
I don't really believe that it is, Mike.
Okay,
I
well-
don't think it's a legitimate question. Why don't we call the woman to the stand and we'll question her?
And how about the lifeguard boats? It seems crazy to me. I mean, it just...
We've
but
had
we don't have,
advertising on the
anything
lifeguard
formal.
boats, Brenda, for 15 years.
Where does the advertising money go from the people that have...
Maybe you can talk to, Commissioner Rim and/or Commissioner Reel, because that predated myself and the mayor.
It did start in that administration, but again, had I been asked the question
Why
prior...
don't we-
Excuse me, Mike, let me finish. Had I been asked the question prior to a public meeting, I would have provided answers to both those questions.
Okay, can you provide them now?
Okay. Mayor, do you want us to...
Go for it.
All right, what's the question, about the lifeguard boats?
Yeah.
It did begin...
What's the advertising for the lifeguard boats, the term of the advertising agreement and the amount?
What was the... Okay, I don't have the details in front of me. What I was going to say was that this is a...
Why don't we do this,
And
Tom?
so I did ask for this in writing, and you couldn't provide it.
Because, Brenda, I wanted to ask you, and that's why I called you twice and left you 2 voicemail messages to call me, because I had some questions I didn't...
Twice and you weren't there. Okay.
You know what, I have a cell phone. Stop.
bottom line-
I think we made the point here, Mike. I
Yeah,
think it was
I
very
think so,
clear
too.
what the
Let's
point
move
was
on.
here. It's very clear. Nonsense. I'll get the information, though, for next meeting, and you'll see that
I would
there's
just-
no missing money.
Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that, Tom.
Is that clear?
Calm down, Tom.
Oh, yeah, I'm calm.
Okay. Tom, now, your turn to talk about ice cream vending, Tom. Come back.
I couldn't recall, I asked Rose, we checked the minutes, how detailed I got. I know it came up about 2 months ago, because somebody asked about with the hurricane. I don't remember what the specifics were, but I just wanted to get it on the work agenda to see if, because I know we don't like to put things on the regular agenda before it's vetted on the work agenda. So I just wanted to put it on there and see if we're okay going out and doing the ice cream bidding, and if you have any changes you want to make to the plan, to the program or whatever. That was my only thing, really.
This would be our normal procedure, what we've done.
Business as usual, and I guess the little, in the past, we would try and get it in the prior year, like in this case 2013, if we took the money in this year prior to December 31st, it could be used, Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, in next year's budget as a miscellaneous item of revenue, correct? If we took it in earlier?
We've already taken in what was anticipated for this year
And that
because
was-
of the delay in the auction due to the storm.
Exactly, because of the hurricane. So I
if you
wanted to see
have-
how you wanted to handle that, that's
If
all.
you do the auction this year, then it would just be taken in as miscellaneous
Okay.
revenue this year. You couldn't apply it to next
that-
year's budget.
Okay, so that was the specific, and then the general question, Mike, nothing's changed, but we wanted to ask you if you had any thoughts on, anybody, if they had any thoughts on changing or adding anything, that's all.
Is there any way we could get more money? If not, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think there may be a way or two.
changes?
Now, let me come back next meeting. Do we have this on, is this on the agenda tonight to be approved? Well, we can approve the advertising. You know, we have plenty of time, so how about if we pull it tonight, if it's okay with you?
Fine.
And I'll come back in the next meeting, and then with an idea or two, and you can decide. I'll get the information out to you prior to the meeting.
That's fine. Okay. Maury, you okay with that? Perfect. Brenda?
Yes.
Good.
All right, then we'll take that off the agenda.
Thank you. Now we'll go to department reports. Ed, you want to start?
Okay. First, we'll go through projects that are in design or in process. Firehouse number 2 emergency generator, we awarded that at the last meeting. The contracts were executed by the contractor and are in transit back to the town. As soon as the city signs off, we'll get the contractor out there to get started on that. Ventnor Avenue streetscape, the survey work has been completed and the base plans are drafted. We're now in the design phase. Gladstone Avenue water tank painting, we're receiving the bids, we're scheduled for October 10th at 11 a.m. here. The only reason that would change is if there's an addendum for some reason, but we should be fine with that. The 2013/14 road program, survey has begun on that. As far as other projects that are essentially complete or actually really in the process, all the emergency bulkhead repairs at Kenyon and Lancaster are done with the exception of punch list items. There's a few bolts missing. There's a few little things that need to be done on Kenyon.
Is
And-
concrete work done also, Ed?
I'm sorry?
The concrete work, is that finished?
The concrete work is complete, yes.
Good job.
The only thing that is left at Kenyon there's a few bolts that have to be put in, the whaler to the piling, and then the steps have to be finished there. Benson Avenue water tank painting, we had the anniversary inspection. We told the contractor there's severe paint failure on his, that he did, so we're scheduling that to figure out how we're going to get that repaired. And on the 2012/13 road program, North Douglas Avenue beach block, the water main's complete, sewer main is complete. On North Essex beach block, water main and sewer main are in process. As soon as that's complete, we'll see a concrete crew roll in to start doing the curbs, gutters, and any driveway aprons, any sidewalk repairs that need to be done. And we'll continue to work down the beach blocks that we have scheduled before we move on to the main streets. We have noticed just about all the streets that are going to be repaired. We've given them my office phone number, my construction inspector's phone number, and we've gotten several phone calls, people just asking what's happening, what's going to happen, what do I expect? I have a handicapped husband, will you help me get him out, that type of stuff. It's not a problem, we deal with it all the time. And that's, we did come up with an initial schematic for the repurposing of the municipal building at 1 South Washington. That was reviewed, there's some comments that were made, and we're in the process of getting those comments incorporated for the next round of review. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Ed. Chief DeBasso.
Can I ask a quick question? The road construction that's going on, do we notify the residents on that beach block in advance when we're going to be, so that they can...
As far as, do we notify?
Right.
What we normally do, both my office and the contractor puts a mailer or a door hanger, because we're not technically not allowed to use their mailbox, to a door hanger, letting them know there's going to be construction, there will be time when the street's blocked,
and then providing them with our telephone number. Will call us and we'll discuss their issues. Everyone has individual issues, access issues, and we've been to the point where I've seen two of the contractors guy actually carry someone in their wheelchair down the street. If that's what's needed to be done, then that'll be done.
Okay. Thank you again. Chief?
Just a reminder that Fire Prevention Week is the October 6th through the 12th. Again, the fire department will be actively out in the public, giving talks, assemblies at the schools, senior citizens through the week, and probably the week after because of some scheduling difficulties. And also, we were very active giving out and answering lots of questions at Fun Fest pertaining to fire prevention. Was very, very busy and a good weekend, and thankfully on the emergency medical calls that we had, nothing was really, really serious. So it went very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Lisa?
There's a resolution on the agenda for 5 o'clock pertaining to the 2014 best practice inventory. I had emailed each of the commissioners a copy of the survey that was completed and discussed with myself, Tom, and Rich Deeney. At this time, we're required to add it as an agenda item and to discuss the results. And you need to obtain greater than an 80% in order to receive the authorized or the state aid for this year. And for the third year, we have scored higher than the 80%, so we will receive the full amount of the funding for the state aid. I'd like to know at this time if you have any questions pertaining to any of the responses or any comments. If you're okay with the results?
I'm fine, Lisa.
Yes.
Brenda? Marty?
There's no questions? Okay, then I'll do the proper certifications and send that up to the state. In addition to that, in accordance with the ordinance for the lifeguard pension fund, the city is required to contribute 4% to the fund based upon the lifeguard salaries. So for this year, for 2013, it equates to approximately $20,000. In order to do that and transfer the money into the fund, we need to do a resolution for a change of title and text. Where we have sufficient money in our budget, it would not be increasing the current year budget. It's basically creating a separate line item for the lifeguard pension contribution and reallocating those funds. So if that is okay with you, I would like to prepare the resolution, but that will go on for October 17th. It will not be done today.
I'm okay with that. Marty? Brenda?
Okay. And I distributed information for our open enrollment. There will be a state representative here next Wednesday, I believe the 9th, I believe that's Wednesday, to address the employees and answer any of their questions. There have not been any changes to the plans as far as I know, and if you have any questions, come see me, and department heads, I just encourage all your employees to attend so any of their questions can be addressed.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Lisa. Mr. Deeney?
Mayor and Commissioners, you may remember that 6 weeks ago or so, we applied for a $30,000 planning grant, which is a post-Sandy planning grant. I read in the paper yesterday that we, along with a few other municipalities in southern New Jersey, were accepted for that grant. I have not officially heard, and I don't believe the clerk's office has officially heard yet, but I'm assuming, based on the press release that probably went out directly to the newspapers, that we are a recipient. With that being said, we did speak at the time that we made the application that we would then be selecting a planner to undertake this study, and the main reason to do this, the state is requiring this as a prerequisite for distributing further grants that are post-Sandy grants that are coming from federal dollars that are made available to the governor. So we're looking forward to being able to complete that and do an assessment and to be able to undertake some projects that we wouldn't otherwise be able to undertake that would be related to economic development for the city of Margate. So we'll look forward to perhaps some action being able to take at the October 17th meeting. Secondly, in August, it's my understanding that each of the commissioners received a proposal from our auditor for auditing services for the coming year. I did not see that in August, but I asked for a copy of it from the auditor. I now have it, and I would like some input from the commissioners with regard to putting a resolution on the agenda for the next meeting. The proposal from Fort Scott is the same amount of money as it was this last year and perhaps the year before as well, which is not to exceed $37,000. So if you give me some input between now and the future, we'll put a resolution on the agenda. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Rich. Scott, do you have anything else?
I do have something else, Mayor. This has to do with the Margate Terrace. I see Mr. James Swift has walked in the room. I received a letter from Mr. Swift the day before yesterday, and I've had an opportunity only to talk about it briefly with City Administrator Deeney. The Margate Terrace is in the process of trying to refinance to take advantage of some of the low interest rates. Mr. Swift is their attorney, and there is a lease agreement, 50-year lease agreement, and a tax abatement agreement, both with the Margate Terrace, to facilitate this so that they can move rapidly forward. I invited Mr. Swift to come to our workshop so he can at least begin the process and acquaint you with what the Margate Terrace would like you to do. And if we could, Mayor, I'd like him to do that right now.
Come forward, Mr. Swift.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners, Mr. Solicitor, members of the body. Thank you very much for hearing me. Mr. Abbott, thank you for giving me the time today. As Mr. Abbott has indicated, presently the Margate Terrace has a tax abatement agreement as well as a lease agreement with the city. That's a 50-year term. The lease agreement is dated May 12, 1987. The tax abatement is January of 1988, and those are to extend 50 years from those dates. Clearly, the 50 years is not up. What the Margate Terrace would like to do is to extend even a little further out both those agreements to permit them to refinance their mortgage. Candidly, there's an opportunity to secure some lower financing. Obviously, the Margate Terrace provides incredibly, reasonably low-priced housing for elderly citizens and disabled citizens, many of whom are veterans. I've already opened the dialogue with Mr. Abbott. I'm going to ask that the city consider extending both the lease agreement and the tax abatement agreement, which would permit the Margate Terrace to secure their financing. We're willing to work with the city in any fashion reasonable to secure this. I don't know, I'm not going to sit here and just go and endorse the Margate Terrace, but I've been there myself. I've done a lot of volunteer work there, as well as meet the residents and Mr. Rubin, who's been involved with it for many, many years. It's an amazing facility. Candidly, I think it's a real feather in the cap of Margate. It provides low-cost housing in an incredibly desirable fashion, and I think it fulfills many, many goals, both legal and equitable and quality of life type things for the city. So if the board or the membership of the mayor and the commissioners could consider these extensions, I think, let's put it this way, it's not going to disturb the spirit of the present lease agreements. The terms aren't going to materially change. The length of it would be. And if you could give it consideration, I'd appreciate it.
Jim, how long of an extension are they asking?
Well, here's what the federal mortgage folks want. They want 35 years. So presently, as it's configured, we're going to need at least an additional 9 years on both the lease agreement as well as the tax abatement agreement. At least 9 years. Because obviously 35 years on top of what we're here now. And it's presently 50. We've got 24 years left.
And I wasn't familiar before today of the tax abatement. Is it 100% or discount? I mean, what discount do?
Basically, I'd like to have the same tax abatement agreement and freer
review, I have a copy of the present agreement when you can see all the details. It's not an extensive agreement.
I don't.
See if we can work it out.
All right.
Could it be referred to Scott,
Okay.
and we can work how to...
We will, okay, we will consider that, Jim. Can you get us a copy of that?
I'll give it to you right now.
And all that? Great. Okay.
We give it
And-
to you. Solicitor, I've got...
What kind of a time frame do you need for this?
This past Monday?
This past-
That's why I asked him to come, to really move this forward.
You're in a hurry, in other words.
No, let's...
He's
put it
in a
this
hurry,
way.
yes.
Here's the thing. The financing rates might not be available, so the quicker we can secure this, the quicker chance we can lock in our rate. Whatever the city can do, obviously, any favorable consideration, we would gratefully accept.
Well, our next meeting is 2 weeks from today, so okay.
How about if I give these materials to the solicitor right now so he can distribute?
That'll be fine, Jim.
And Jim, can I ask you a question? Because I have an extensive file on this dating back to whenever, and we have the pilot, correct, the payment in lieu of taxes, and then we have the lease, correct?
Yes.
Now, you're asking for, is there both, I didn't catch it, was it lease extension and something with the pilot too, or just the lease?
Well, here's what we need. We need the tax abatement agreement,
Pilot, yeah, the pilot, okay.
and we need the lease agreement, because if we don't have them both,
Okay.
we're not going to get our financing.
That's fine, because I just was just going to point out, and you know and Scott knows that these things, I believe it's in the pilot, Roger, correct me if I'm wrong, where the formula, the dollar amount, because I think I caught a little bit what Brenda was asking, how it's calculated, how much, and are we getting it's calculated a little bit with the federal formula based on occupancy and the rents and et cetera, just so people know that. It's not just a coin flip here.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. And then again, the spirit of either of the agreements is in essence going to stay the same. We just need some more years. That's it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jim.
And I'll hand these materials. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you,
Thank
Commissioners.
you.
Member of the body, thank you.
Scott, anything else?
Well, Mayor, I assume now we have the green light to go forward and facilitate this, and Rich Deeney will be involved, and I guess Lisa and Tom.
Just keep us all
We'll keep you abreast of it.
involved.
Possibly have this ready for them in 2 weeks, I mean, at our next meeting. Okay, anything? One other thing, I'd just like to thank, we started the lifeguard pension committee, 4 volunteers, Rich Patterson, Brian Hildner, Greg Smallwood, and Joe Rush. Chief Tabasso and Deputy Chief Adams were there, Rich Deeney, Lisa McLaughlin, and myself. We had a great start. These are the 4 committee members are volunteers, they're not paid, to help assist us in structuring our pension requirements, and we're off to a real good start. And it was a good meeting. It's always glad to have a bunch of guys come together and help and try to push this thing forward and do it the right way. So we're off to a great start. We'll have our next meeting November 4, and I just want to let them know that I was impressed with the fact that these people were devoting free time, and they're members of the pension committee.
Scott, before you go on, I had a question. The lifeguard pension, it's an ordinance, the plan's an ordinance that was adopted back in 85 or 86, whatever.
Mid-80s.
The question I have, there was a change, as you know, made with the lifeguard contract that talked about, buyouts or whatever the case may be.
Right.
My question is this, I didn't have a chance to look at it, I don't know if you know it off the top of your head, because it was based on the ordinance that the city adopted in 85 or 86, and that the ordinance was as a result, as you know, of litigation, but state legislation, state statute. My question is this: should our ordinance be amended so that it was consistent with the change in the contract now, because the contract's saying 10 and 10, and this might be different? That's my only question.
Tom, I don't know. I'll certainly take a look at that. I do know that in the last contract with the lifeguards, there was a buyout provision for some of the lifeguards to take what I'll call an early retirement plan, would we refer to it as that, which was projected to save the city money if they actually did that. That would be the job of the lifeguard pension to make a recommendation on that. And if, Tom, we look at it, we feel there's an amendment required in the ordinance, we certainly do it. But that option to buy out early ends this year, I believe. Was it 14 or 2014?
February 2014.
So, and there is, I know, at least one retirement effort, but I think he has his time. But again, that's why we have a lifeguard pension committee, to analyze and make a recommendation and then come up with a decision on their pension rights. So, but we are moving forward, Tom, and we're going to get there. It'll be good.
Just for the public's information, somehow the Lifeguard Pension Committee, which is basically, should be existing, kind of didn't do anything for a few years. This is a reorganization and a re-up of this to try and do things the right way, and that's all this is. Okay, Tom, you're next.
Oh, okay. We had, as you know, a few meetings back, we did some adjustments, credits based on water and sewer billing because of people who had no access to their properties. There was one that kind of fell through the cracks. I guess my buck falls with me, it's my fault. And I just wanted to throw it out there. There was one, I won't get into specifics, I'll talk about Brenda maybe specifically with Rich, but I'd like to, if possible, by motion or by resolution tonight, I've reviewed it with Rich, I've reviewed it, and if we could pass it tonight to do it if possible. We could talk about it between meetings if you like, Brenda, just for the specifics. I don't want to mention the names, okay? The other item I had, pardon me? I'm sorry.
Is it on the agenda?
Bro, is it on the agenda? Yes. Yeah, I did, yeah, we did, yes.
Okay.
So if it's okay, if not, we'll strike it, but I just...
Seems to be okay, Tom.
All right. Scott, I don't know if I had to step out for a minute. Did you mention anything about the barge?
I did not, Tom, but we certainly could mention that. As you're probably aware, Mayor and Commissioners.
Scott,
Mayors and Commissioners, you're probably aware there was a dispute about the barge amount, and Tom Hiltner and I and Rich Deeney had sat down. We went through this with Lisa, and the issue was the payment. We were unhappy, the city was unhappy with some of the fireworks display. As a result, the barge was kind of small. They weren't able to do the show that we've become accustomed to having. And through the efforts of, actually Tom and I sat down and we negotiated, we made a very good settlement. They were, what was it, Tommy? You go over the figures if you would, 20 and 60?
They built 20. We had proposed 15. Then they came back and said, Scott and I were going to, I think, settle for 18, and we actually got 16.
Well, I wouldn't say that. No, it wasn't 18, it was 16.
That's right.
But we made a settlement for 16. Actually, the barge, the fireworks man, somewhat, I would say, apologetic.
Yeah, he was.
On the way the show went, and a lot of people commented that it wasn't as good. It was an effort to save money by the city and have it out on a barge, but they really didn't have the right-sized barge, so they didn't get the show we wanted this past summer. Hopefully next year, maybe rectify that, either the larger barge or put it back on the beach. But in the meantime, he was willing to settle for $16,000. We've recommended that.
It's on the bill list tonight, if you have any questions or if you're okay with it, it's on the bill list.
I would, yeah, I'd recommend. Is that all right with you, Mr. Deeney? Lisa, that's okay?
Everybody.
And then following up on that, just so you know, the barge, we've talked about the last meeting, Rich asked if I would, as purchasing agent, get specs together and and go out, based on your approval, put a spec together on what we require for next year so that it's done in a way where we have official documentation, unlike this past year. The only other item I have is another agenda item. You had item number, Resolution 191 for a redemption, and that's still on there. If you look down, number 200, there was another redemption that started last week, and these things are kind of time-sensitive with interest payments being made to the lien holders. So there was an issue about the money coming in. It finally got wired in the last few days. We had a couple questions. It's on there. This is a black and white, it's a business as usual kind of thing, but I just want to let you know, we would like to have it on there and approved because the interest is calculated to this Monday, otherwise we got to do the whole thing over again.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
What would that be, 201?
200.
Or 200?
200.
Okay,
All right?
no problem.
Marty, you have a problem with the barge?
No, I don't have a problem, but can we just go back, because there's something that's weighing on my mind, and I might have missed, because there was a time last year where I missed a meeting or two. Did we ever, was it in the spirit of transparency, did we ever publicly discuss that the city was going to be responsible for the payment of a barge or the payment for these fireworks? Because in the past, the fireworks were sponsored and put on by the Margate Mothers, and the city had no financial responsibility. So I was caught, and I haven't been able to find it in the minutes and/or on the tapes, I was caught a little off guard when I understood that there was this controversy related to payment for a barge. I never knew that we were paying for the barge, and so maybe shame on me, but I couldn't find it anywhere in the minutes and/or tapes that that the city was financially obligated for anything having to do with the fireworks, other than we were supporting them with police and public works employees. So did I miss, Mike or Brenda, where we discussed publicly that we were going to sponsor and pay for the barge?
I think I can help. I can help with that. You probably did not miss it, Commissioner. What I can say for sure is that it's been talked about internally for over a year between the police chief and the fire chief, the clerk's office, myself, and finance director, and Scott, Public Works. There was a recommendation made the year before that we'd spent so much money on their costs, their salary costs and overtime, that we would try to do it with the barge. So the only cost that we agreed to was the barge, but it was compensated by, it was less money for the barge than it was for all of our other expenses through fire and police, mostly police, if I believe. And so the commitment was made internally by the department heads that they would fund this money from their budgets that they otherwise would be spending on overtime. We worked with the local committee that put on the fireworks, and they agreed to put on the fireworks like they always have, but that we agreed to pay for the barge.
Okay.
The barge was contracted through a coordinated effort with the local committee, and obviously there were some problems, as Tom was indicating, and we, in reaction to the community, was not happy with the result, and we did a lot of investigation and found out that the barge that they ultimately bought or rented was too small. And they weren't supposed to rent a barge that small, and that resulted in lesser of a show. And as a result, we all agreed that we didn't get what we had contracted for. We had contracted for a barge not to exceed $20,000, which was the break-even point. When we did that, we all met, got the facts, authorized Tom and Scott to negotiate a settlement. So we settled for the 16th. But I think you're right that I'm not sure that was discussed publicly. And I'll take responsibility for that, but we did that internally.
And that's fine. You've answered my question, and now I have a little bit more information so that when people do ask, I can tell the real story. Thank you.
Okay. Tom, do you have anything else?
No.
Roger?
Turn off your microphone. Oh, sure.
I always talk about a building boom going on in Margate, so I thought I'd give you a graphic. So I had my staff put together this little map that's in front of you. Since your last meeting, there have been, my office has approved 11 new residential permits, that is zoning approvals for 11 houses. Actually, 3 of them were duplexes, so it's a total of 14 new units, single family and duplex. And that's in just, 2-3 weeks. We've also approved a number of renovations, major enlargements, and the planning board has also had 11 cases, had 2 meetings in the month of October. So the building boom is continuing. We're feeding a lot of cases over to the building department, and everything is going very well. But I thought you would like to see a graphic representation. It's all over town, it's in all neighborhoods, and it's continuing. And it's good for Margate.
Good job, Roger.
Thank you.
Anything else, Roger?
Raj, do you think, could you do something if it's worth it for, and is there any like new business renovations or new restaurant, anything proposed that you can talk about or no? Your staff could report on?
Not at the moment. There are a couple of big things happening, but they're involved in negotiated deals on large real estate premises in town, so I'd rather not go into right now.
Roger, anything else?
No, that's it.
Good job, Roger. Jimmy?
Right, stop with the building, will you? Today's press had a good article. It was about the extension of the flood. If you were going to file a claim, David Miller, he was assistant administrator from the National Flood Insurance Program, signed an order today on the 1st of October, extending the claims for 6 more months. The Governor Christie co-signed it also. If you know anybody who has a potential claim or know of anybody who needs assistance, please feel free to contact me or the REM, the RREM, which is the flood assistance program that's out in Egg Harbor Township. As you know, that there's people still waiting for money. They're to be persistent. Tell them not to give up, to keep trying. The whole point in FEMA is a denial, and then they'll eventually pay. So please just get it out there. Try to let the people know that there is a 6 months extension on the flood program. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. Chief Wolfson?
Everything's good.
Thank you, Chief. Maury, do you have anything?
I really just have one thing, and I wanted to thank Ed and Anna Marie and the entire MBA and all the departments for the extraordinary effort and hard work that I know they put in to make the Fun Fest a wonderful event for Margate City and to showcase Margate City and the fact that we really know how to put on a good show. So thank you very much. And thanks to all the departments for all the support behind the scenes. And that's all I have.
Brenda?
I wanted to say the same thing. I wanted to thank Ed Berger and Anna Marie and the whole Fun Fest team of volunteers because from my perspective and from all the comments I've heard, it was really a spectacular weekend, and Mother Nature cooperated for us too. And even the vendors were real happy. I mean, I read, how pleased they were too. So every year it just gets better and better. So thank you, and thank you to our team that helped put it together. And today I heard, and I wanted to ask Ed and Anna Marie, I heard Cookie Till's going to have a farmer's market the Thursday before Thanksgiving. Is that true? That's awesome. Everybody can do their Thanksgiving shopping. That's great. Well, thank you again.
Anything else?
That's all.
Okay. Obviously, I had on my list 2 things. First of which is thank everybody involved in the Fun Fest. You guys are absolutely great. I told you that in person. To everybody, I want to thank you all. This was probably the Fun Fest of Fun Fest. You're going to have to work real hard to top this one to get better weather. It was just a wonderful thing. I was there for 2 days, talked to many, many people. Everybody was in a great mood. It was good for Margate. I've already had a call from Ventnor. Ventnor wants to put on a similar project, but they want to do it in the spring. And is it okay with Margate? I said, talk to me later. But thank you guys. You did a great job. It's good for the city. Now, just one quick announcement. On Tuesday, the 8th, the governor's mobile cabinet will be in this room to help. They'll be here from 3 to 7. Excuse me. They're here. They'll be here to help people who have FEMA problems, banking problems, insurance problems. So if any of you have problems, if you know of anyone, please send them here. They will meet with people on an individual basis. There will be tables set up. It's been posted on the website, thanks to Fred. It's on Channel 2. There'll be a robocall or 2. We'd like to get the word out. This is for everybody in the area. That's Tuesday, 3 to 7, here. Now we'll open for public comment.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Following up on the solicitor's murky observations concerning the governor's executive order, I think it's very well to note that if the solicitor is nearly correct on 1,000 potential easement holders, that will result invariably in multiple litigation that would essentially put the governor's executive order on hold while it's being litigated, possibly up to the U.S. Supreme Court. And furthermore, I think that we should realize that the governor's executive order essentially steamrolls the legislative rights of eminent domain granted to the citizens of New Jersey. And I don't think that the courts will look too lightly upon abrogating and abridging those rights. And if we are going to do a amicus curiae on that Margate Bridge sign, we might consider an amicus curiae brief on the eminent domain rights of our citizens. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Sewell. Anyone else?
Fred Weinstein, 15 South Cedar Grove Avenue, Margate. Scott, good analysis of the governor's observations, words, or order. I think there's apples and oranges. The governor's order relates to assisting towns obtaining easements. I don't believe, and these are just my observations from what I have read, that the governor's order addresses requiring towns to build dunes. I believe that the referendum can proceed, but certainly we should rely upon the advice of our counsel, Scott, and he certainly will talk with some folks in the Attorney General's office to get some additional specifics, but I do not believe that the governor's order addresses the requirement to build dunes, because the state of New Jersey cannot require any municipality to appropriate money.
We shall see.
Yes. Number two, I consider everyone up here a personal friend. I've communicated with virtually all of you privately via email or phone over the years. So please accept my comments in the good faith in which I offer them, because as I think you all know, my first interest is what is best for Margate. One, has the Adopt a Beach program been repealed?
No.
I submitted a check and application to Roger about 2 weeks ago. My wife and I had discussed it over the summer. I just got around to doing it to adopt Cedar Grove Beach in honor of our new granddaughter. But my check has not yet cleared. Will my application be accepted?
I can answer that, yes.
Thank you.
Roger, do you have that? Just the deposit.
Oh, I had to be the last day or so.
They're plenty slow.
Oh, okay. With regard to Adopt a Beach generally, I'm not here to speak for or against the concept, but I've heard several comments in recent meetings, both that I attended and heard online, and I found, and I believe that Commissioner Tarby distributed an email that I sent to the group, to all of you. I found some of the comments to be a little bit disappointing and somewhat disingenuous. And again, please accept my comments in the good faith in which I offer them. Starting, what I heard was that there was a meeting some time ago, and it did not appear from that meeting that there was any community interest in Adopt a Beach. And I speak only to the process now, not whether the Adopt a Beach program should continue. And therefore, since no one attended the meeting, that was reflected that no one cared about the program. I adopted on behalf of my street, Cedar Grove Avenue, on behalf of the passing of one of our longtime residents. I know of other people that adopted beaches over the years, most of them in memory of family members. None of us ever heard of a meeting 6 months ago, a year ago, or two years ago, where the issue of continuing Adopt the Beach would be discussed. Number two, check the website. The Margate website on Adopt the Beach solicits contributions from commercial establishments. And now what I hear is, oh, geez, we shouldn't have taken their money. You know, what is it?
Fred, you have 15 seconds, please. I'm sorry.
So I found it a little disingenuous that no one attended a meeting, and I kind of felt, you know, I feel that Margate is a wonderful community. I've said many times, we are an open community, it is a democracy, but, you know, I kind of felt that this was like being handled like a banana republic would handle this. You know, no one attended a meeting that we never told anyone about, therefore, let's do something because no one cared about it. I just found that a little bit unusual. Again, please accept my comments in the good faith in which they're offered to everyone. Two, has there been any accounting yet of the beach badges for this past summer?
Yes. Lisa?
Yes, it hasn't been audited yet. The auditor will probably be in within the next few weeks once one is appointed. But yes, our revenue for the year was approximately $1,000 less than last year, and our inventory count showed, I think, a discrepancy where we were like 2 badges over, but I have to confirm
Those are
that.
good numbers given other communities that have shown significant decline. One last thing, I have sat in your chairs and chaired municipal meetings for many years, and I've also observed municipal meetings. Please, when there's disagreement amongst the commissioners and others, it would be far better if those disagreements were discussed behind closed doors, not in front of the public. I just don't think it looks good to have some of the give and take that's discussed among the group here to be discussed publicly. Please do your best to keep those kinds of discussions behind closed doors.
Thank you, Fred.
Dan Gottlieb, 407 North Nassau. The Margate citizens questioning the beach project, of which I am on the committee. We met in our weekly meeting last night, and as a result of the article that appeared in the paper and the governor's executive order, we're a little concerned about the way the newspaper wrote about the executive order, and I think the word nullify Margate's vote was contained in that article. So of course we were concerned, and we sat with our legal team last night for about 2 hours. And I just wanted to go on the record as saying that we are in agreement with Mr. Abbott's initial assessment of the order by the governor. We feel, after speaking to our legal team, that the order speaks pretty specifically, and again, I'm not an attorney, but we did seek legal counsel, that the intent of the executive order was really born out of the Harvey Cedars case and the potential for more cases like it down the road. And it speaks specifically to the state's resolve to obtain easements from the property owners. And I just wanted to go on the record as saying that, and Scott, we appreciate your initial analysis, and we are hopeful that in your meeting next week, if it takes place up in Trenton, that it will bear out that same finding. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Steve Altman, 9003 Amherst Avenue, Margate. I'm confused about something regarding this beach replenishment and a non-binding resolution. If I remember correctly, very early on in your administration, there was a litigation that ultimately limited your ability to appropriate more than $2 million, or you had to go to a referendum. Am I correct about that?
There was no. Was there? I don't remember it.
Margate concerned citizens were involved in a petition that ultimately went to the courts, and if I recall...
What was your question, Steve? What was the question again? I'm sorry.
That was bonding. I know what it is. It's the bonding for the second firehouse.
Firehouse. That was for Firehouse 2.
One specific...
Was it specific, or did the court's decision limit you to a $2 million level before you had to go to a binding referendum?
No, I don't think so. I think it was specific to the firehouse.
Just to the firehouse?
Just the firehouse.
Listen, my wife says I'm getting very forgetful. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was, just the firehouse.
My memory was that it was an expanded thing that limited
No.
to... No?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. But I'd be grateful if you'd check on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Paul Vanderine, 311 Dorchester Drive, Egg Harbor Township. I want to discuss the ice cream bid resolution that I believe you're going to be talking about. I propose that you consider making it a multi-year contract. What we've done in Longport is that they have a one-year contract with the option by the city to renew it yearly, and then there's a cost of living increase. I believe it'll be beneficial for the city as well as for the successful bidder, because there'll be some more consistency, and you won't have, like this year, we had a very challenging year. Business was down, and so we can maybe buffer it with maybe next year, business hopefully will be better. So I just want to bring that up when you discuss that resolution, and I'll be there next. Okay.
Paul, can I ask you a question? What length, what's your option then? So you have a year contract, typically there's a 3-year option, or what?
Well, I mean, in the neighboring community, they have a one-year contract, and then in the fall, the commissioners can renew that contract with a cost of living increase. And in Longport, it's being done 2 additional years.
So it's a 3-year option then, one automatic renewal for the 2nd and 3rd year, and then you start again in the 4th year. Okay.
So it's 1-year contract with 2 extensions. Okay. And again, the city has the option to renew or not to renew. Okay. But it'll help the successful bidder, because it'll balance out the ebb and flow of the sales.
Well, how does it help the city, Paul?
Pardon me?
How would it help the city?
It'll help the city, because what it'll do is, once the city establishes a contract, you're going to hopefully, if the successful bidder is a good partner of the city, okay, you'll be able to elongate that relationship for 2 additional years. Okay. I can tell you, in another community, they had a contract that the bidder did not come up with the money, and the city was out a lot of money. Okay, and that contract went empty for the whole year. So I'm just bringing that up. There are many advantages to the city.
Paul, I have a question. Would an initial term of, say, 3 years with 1-year extensions be favorable to Margate? Would that bring, Tom, you're saying, no, are we legally not allowed, or?
I was going to comment on Paul's original comment and ask Scott to correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding of local public contracts law, you can do a 1-year, and then you can either do 1 2-year additional extension or 2 1-year additional extensions, but you can't do an initial 3-year. It can be 1 by itself, 1 and 1, or 1 and 1 and 1, or 1 and 2. Scott, I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Well, look, we'll take a look at it to make sure we don't run afoul of any statutory requirements. My only concern would be, what if after the first year, they don't make the payment for the upcoming 2nd year? What's the time frame there so the city can put it out for bid in case the initial successful bidder fails to make the payment? That would be more my fear.
There are safeguards. There are safeguards that are built into the other contracts I've seen in the other communities. According to what Paul's saying, there are 2 ways you can look at it. If there is like maybe this past year, the economy is down, and we had taken a bid last year, and our option could extend it, and we're worried that the bids were not going to be high this year, then it could be advantageous to the city, like he said. However, you can look at it the other way, too, that if you gave a 3-year bid and the economy and things were, and yet other bidders that were showing up, maybe that might not happen here, we only have 2 usually, then it could hurt the city. So there's 2 different ways you can look at it.
Yeah, we'll certainly take it under consideration. There's pros and cons. Does it limit the bidders?
This will help the successful bidder, no doubt. There'll be proper planning, okay? But let's put it this way. As Tom rightfully mentioned, there's only been 2 bidders, okay? there hasn't been a lot of interest because it's a very expensive type operation. It's very labor intensive. Okay, there's a lot of equipment involved. Maintaining the product in a frozen state is very expensive, and it's getting more and more expensive every year. So, you know, the way I look at it, I have to budget my expenses, and if I know I have a 2-year or a 3-year possibility, you know, I can better invest. Okay.
All right.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Ann Pancos, 200 North Osborne Avenue. I'd just like to make a comment about the advertising on the beach. I understand there's a gentleman, and this is not fact, I just heard rumor, has a home on the beach block and had to continually look at an advertisement on one of the tents or one of the enclosures for the lifeguards. And so he requested that he could get permission to paint that particular shed. My personal opinion, and I've heard this from many people, is a lot of this advertisement on the beach makes Margate look very honky-tonk. I can't see the value. We talk about supporting our businesses. That is very important. But how many of us do support these businesses by going in and purchasing food or buying things? I've heard businesses tell me that many people that say they support the businesses don't even go in and support them by purchasing things. I just think that, and many people have mentioned to me, why is all this advertisement on the beach? I really think that this makes Margate look quite honky-tonk. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Hi, guys. Ed Berger, 9402 Amherst Avenue. And just as a quick response to Ann's comments, there are, first of all of our business owners would much prefer that you supported their businesses by coming in and patronizing their businesses. But in this particular case, I think what we're dealing with is apples and oranges. There is a very, very limited amount of marketing platforms available in this city for our local businesses. And you know that they are small businesses. These are family businesses, most of them. Spending money on television advertising where most of it goes to waste outside the city of Margate when most of their customers are inside the city is not a prudent use of marketing dollars. Buying billboards outside the city, again, not a prudent use of marketing dollars. There are very, very few platforms that are available. To have the ability to tastefully market on the beach is an asset that the business community enjoys, and I think that as long as we maintain a good handle on it and don't allow the type of flamboyant advertising that would create an eyesore for the people that go there, that it not only reinforces our business community when you go to the beach, but if it's tastefully done, can be done properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Can I say something?
What's that?
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue. I have two things to say. First of all, regarding the dunes, I was in here, I spoke here maybe 2 months ago, I'm not sure how long, and if you recall, I said that, that as far as the dunes are concerned, it's a done deal, okay? That, now I heard this from an elected representative, okay? He told me this, that the governor's going to do the dunes whether you like it or not, okay? I just said it was a rumor, but this is a fact. Now, let me tell you something else. The governor of New Jersey has the most power of any governor in the country, all right? Am I right or wrong on that, Scott?
Actually, you are correct.
I am correct. okay? If you have eminent domain, a few people are not going to stop what is good for the most people, okay? And that's what it's going to be. That's just reality, and I'm here to tell you that, and maybe some people don't like it, but I've had to deal with a lot of things in my life that I didn't like either. That's number one. Number two, as regards to this advertising on the beach. Number one, I think there should be an accurate accounting, and if people aren't paying, then they shouldn't be allowed to advertise. I mean, that's it, they're done. Give them 30 days to pay, or you're off the beach. And number two, going forward, find out the correct value for this advertising, if you're going to do it. What are they getting in Ocean City? What are they getting in Ventnor? What are they getting in the other communities? Whatever that figure is, that's what these people should pay. All right? And that's, if we're going to do it, we should get the money. If they don't pay, then they should be thrown off immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Last chance. Is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll make a motion. I'll make the motion that we close public
I'll
comment.
second the motion. In the absence of a clerk, Rosie, would you call the roll, please? Here, yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Tawby?
Yes.
Thank you all. We're going to take a very short break, and we will proceed with our next meeting.
That's okay. I just want to make sure you understand.